I sure wish I knew where my family was, and how long I've been gone. Huh? Aha!
Don't scare me like that!
It's been right in front of me. Today's August 1st.
Hi everyone, I am Kaius with a K, something I definitely feel the need to remind you of because I have not made a single meaningful upload all year. As of late, I've been seeing other creators do this thing where they rank all of their mains in games that they've played, and you know, I thought I could try that out myself. I know I'm not usually this to the point, but times are changing, I suppose. This also gives me a chance to, you know, get back into the groove of narrating videos, because I just get to talk about something that's fundamentally kind of meaningless. Now, I've played a lot of video games with characters over the course of my life, and it could be really easy for me to say that I'm able to rank all of them, but the fact of the matter is, I have been around for entirely too long to rank or even frankly recall most of the characters I've played throughout my life, so I made the difficult decision to narrow it down to a paltry 128, you know, a really small number like that. I ended up ranking them between 9 categories. In this moment, I'm at peace with myself as the toppest of top tiers. This is for characters that have more or less completely influenced the way I play games and what I look for in characters, or characters who just hit super different for me to play. Smiling so big and wide for characters that I have a lot of fun playing. Yay, I having fun for characters I enjoy playing, but not as much as the others above. I added this tier midway through my recording, so there's that. Power flows through me, but for characters that I feel very powerful playing, but they're missing a certain je ne sais quoi. I'm trying for the characters I want to be good at so fucking bad. Full-time job for the characters that are hard to play and make me feel like I'm working an honest 9 to 5. And finally, arguably the ultimate most important tier. To be honest, I just played them because they're hot, which I assume is self-explanatory. Hi, this is Editing Case here. This fucking idiot forgot to mention the "this shit was not worth it" tier, which is insane, but go off, I guess. I'm gonna go through all of these characters in alphabetical order of their game, though it is a rough alphabetical order, and for games with multiple characters, those characters are listed in no particular order. This is going to be a long one, so I figured there's not much need for a super long introduction, but I do really want to quickly address my disappearance from YouTube for a little bit. If you understandably don't care about all that, I have chapters on my video, so you can just skip to the start of the actual tier list. Okay, are all the ad skip Andys gone? Okay, it's just you and me, buddy. The reason why I've been gone for so long is a mix between mental health, writer's block, and burnout, and, you know, other stupid things like that. But a lot of the burnout came from the fact that, as it turns out, making videos is kind of a much larger physical, mental, and monetary investment than I was really cluing people in on. I'm doing a lot better in the first 2 categories, but I of course do have a Patreon for those who wish to help me with that third thing. And you know, while I do have Patreon talk on the brain, I should just go and shout out MickXCat, Pinrost, and Phenomenal right now for being active patrons. Of course, everyone else who supports me through the Case Club R program is shown on screen right now. And while those guys are on screen, I want to say that as an added bonus for patrons, the full raw recording sessions I made during the production of this video for scripting reference will be compiled together into a single video that can be viewed by my patrons. I want to start posting behind the scenes stuff more for Case Club R members as a way of sort of making sure that I'm more accountable when it comes to my videos and assure that larger lapses of content like this don't become a habit. So hopefully it's as fruitful as I wish it to be. Thanks to those of you who stuck around for the last 10 months where I was posting nothing. You really didn't have to, but you know, I appreciate it and I want to give back somehow. Alright, without further ado, we're going to get to our first character, which is Marilyn from Akatsuki Blitzkampf. Marilyn was one of the best characters in the arcade release of Akatsuki Blitzkampf, and in the Dojin Fighter PC release of it, maybe she was touted as the toppest of top tiers. When I play her, I definitely feel like I'm playing the strongest character in the entire game, you know? She's really easy to convert things from, and she does a fuck ton of damage. While she's not my favourite character in the Katsuki Blitzkampf, she's a strong pick I feel like I can always rely on. So power flows for me is a pretty apt place to put her in, I think. Now Perfecti is a character with a negative edge mechanic that I don't really use all that often when it comes to fighting game characters, but for her I like to control the screen with her big fucking lasers. It's a great neutral tool that a lot of characters actively have to play around, and I'm a big fan of characters that the opponent plays around and not against. There is the trade-off of technically losing a third of your kit to hold onto these lasers at any given time, but to me it's generally worth it and I have a lot of fun when I'm playing as her. I still wish she was playable in the original ABK, but I think either way I'm smiling so big and wide when I play her. Next, Lilica from Arcana Heart 3 is a character who I feel I'm at least sort of competent at. Okay, I'm not very good at Arcana Heart, but Lilica is still a character who clicks with me. She's got Rekkas, she's got good mobility, she's also the only character on this list who says a slur, so I guess she has that going for her. I think I'm smelling so big and wide when I play her, despite everything. We'll call her a problematic fave. Sorry, editor's note, you can no longer main Lilica in Arcana Heart 3 because of walk. Sorry. Lambda 11. Now, Lambda 11 is a character that OG KS heads will immediately clue into because she was a big part of my online branding before I ended up just dropping usernames entirely and just going by my people name. BlazBlue kits at their most complex are tantamount to a fucking MOBA character, and Lambda 11 is not an easy character to play as in the slightest, being no exception to this rule. She requires you to really know how the game is going to go, and you constantly need to be willing to change up your combos and routes on the fly. Despite all this, she's still one of my favourite BlazBlue characters to play, even if I have to practically relearn her every time I boot the game, so I think I'll put her in I'm trying. To be honest, I don't remember much about playing Hazama, but I do remember maining him in Central Fiction and having a brief affair with him in BB Tag. There are some things I like about Hazama and some things I don't like. He's very similar to Lilica in that he has decent mobility. He doesn't necessarily have Rekkas, but he has some stance shenanigans that scratch that combo itch for me, and like maybe he said a slur, but I don't know. As fun as the chain grapple snakes are, the Ouroboros stacks are kinda hard for me to manage and constantly trip me up when I'm playing against other humans, so maybe I'll put him in full-time jobs, since I feel like I'm clocking in an honest 9 to 5 when I'm playing this guy. Next up is Iron Tiger. Iron Tiger goes into, to be honest, I just played them because they're hot. That's literally it. I'm not very good at grapplers. Tiger is kind of not a great grappler in most of her appearances because Arxis had a chronic inability to balance grapplers well at all. But I'm a sucker for the colour red and guys with underbites and shit, so I try to make him work more often than I reasonably should. Lastly for BlazBlue is Tao Kaka, who was put last here because she's actually not a character I've played in the more recent BlazBlue games, but rather in Calamity Trigger and Continuum Shift. If you've ever played Tao Kaka in Continuum Shift, you may or may not know that she is fucking ridiculous. Back in the day, we didn't care about pedestrian bullshit like Overdrive and Active Flow. We had shit like Guard Libra and Astral Heats that you had to unlock. We used to be a real country with real Kusuke, just completely abysmal dog shit. Tao Kaka goes in the highest tier, the one about peace or something. Alright, now, Yosuke from BB Tag. He goes into this same tier as Tao Kaka. Yosuke is a character who gave me so much brain rot that he kind of conceived the concepts I look for in my characters today. Not literally conceived, but you know, he was the character who started to turn the cogwheels in my brain. There are fewer characters who have completely changed the way I interact with fighting game rosters than Yosuke, and because of that I feel an immense sense of freedom when I play this character. I don't know if there's any way I can describe it verbally beyond just brain rotting even more. Next is my other BB Tag main, Heart Aino, who goes in smiling so big and wide. Everyone in my friend group hates when I play Heart. But I think it's for the best, because while I don't know if her synergy with Yosuke is necessarily objectively good, she opens up so much for Yosuke in terms of knowledge checks and stupid cross-ups. And those are the things I like to do in BB Tag the most, and these two do it in a way that I find uniquely engaging. Alright, now next up is Sanpei from Blood Warrior, and nobody's played Blood Warrior except for me. Sanpei is the closest thing Blood Warrior has to a Dalsum function. He's got big stretchy limbs and that's it, he has big stretchy limbs. He's also got a rushdown attack that I can use on my wake up, on my opponent's wake up, and a projectile that I don't think is very good, but it is what it is. I'm going to put him in the I'm trying tier because I'm not very good at Blood Warrior. Call of Duty's shop characters can kinda count because they do occasionally come with their own prefab loadouts, and these two are no exception, so I'm going to be speaking on the experience I have with the loadouts these characters come with. Skeletor immediately goes into smiling so big and wide. I'm almost inclined to put him in a certain other tier, but I'll hold off. I tend to fixate pretty heavily on 80s and 90s Saturday morning cartoon characters, and Skeletor isn't an exception to this rule. In fact, he might be one of the two extremely dire examples of this. In COD, it's kinda just really funny to hear Skeletor speaking in the context of an FPS and making like COD pings and callouts and stuff. The RPK is also one of the weapon blueprints he came with, which is maybe my favourite weapon in the game besides the MCW, I don't know. And as for Starlight, she goes in I'm trying. I really want to use her guns well, but I can. I made the mistake of trying the F-Tac and it turns out I can't use it for shit. I like to ADS and do not spray and pray, and that's kinda fundamentally not possible with the way the weapon's built when she comes with it. Maybe I'll experiment with grips and stuff in the future, but for now I'll just wear the skin with other weapons equipped. Okay guys, you can come back. We're talking about fighting games again. Let's talk about Nakaruru. I made the mistake of playing Nakaruru in A-Groove. Is A-Groove good on Nakaruru at all? Fucking no! But custom combos are fun. And you can't deny that there's an inherent appeal in watching Nakaruru spin like this. This is spin to win in its purest form. This is what it looks like to raffle. You may not like it, but this is peak performance. At least on an axis. As for Morgan, yeah. Ket and She from KS Code are one of the few times where I've actually resonated with a puppet character, but that might be because they don't lean on the puppet stuff as much as other characters like, say, Zato 1, who I did technically play in Revelator, but I unceremoniously sucked at. With that said though, their kit feels like it's missing something, so I can't put them much higher than Power Flows Through Me, but that being said, maybe a Chaos Code next episode of Extreme Tempest will fix all of this. Alright, these three characters are from Crash Team Racing, and I'm just gonna gloss over these real quickly. Before the introduction of Engine Select, each character in CTR was locked into a specific class type, and that could not be changed. Pinstripe and Megami are acceleration type, which was more or less just the strongest engine in the entire game. My other style of choice was balanced, which good old Chick here defaults to, though nowadays I can just switch up the engine to place whatever character I want. But I think the default class spread still has a place in the game for me. Pinstripe is my favourite Crash character, so playing him makes me smile. And I'm trying with Chuck, and Megami goes in Power Flows Through Me, but mostly because this was the character who was taking up entire lobbies, so she almost became like a heel of this game to me. Alright, let's talk EBDB. Chucky is a character who makes me feel at peace with myself. Dead by Daylight is a game where I've always had character crises on the killer side to the point where I would just not be playing killer most of the time, but Chucky was different. He immediately clicked for me, and the changes they made to him that removed all the scamper shit actually made me like him more. As for Sadako, she's the inaugural it was fun while it lasted character. I played Sadako during the era of ring drawing being an extremely powerful add-on, and if you played Sadako during this time, while it was a very strong way to play her, it also had its moments where it was maybe one of the most miserable killers to play in the game, let alone play against. I actually feel bad for the people I played against with this killer. It's like gotten that bad. And for the last killer, it's Nurse. If you've played Nurse or seen Nurse or are just aware of Nurse, you may already know where she's ending up. I'm good at her, I'm consistent, but does that mean anything when she's been objectively the strongest killer in the game for 8 years? Not really. Also, her skill floor is not nearly as high as other people say it is. You kinda just need to have good game sense and a feel for how survivors play around loops, so the best way I got better at Nurse was just by playing a lot of Survivor. And speaking of Survivor, my 2 Survivor mains are Detective Tap and Ellen Ripley. Since they're mostly cosmetic, I'll focus on their perks, since I actually do use their perks anyway. Tap has my favourite loadout in the entire game. Stakeout is the #1 best designed perk in DVD history, and I will fight for that truth. I own every Tap cosmetic. This is my go-to Survivor, even when I'm not playing around perks. He goes in the smiley tier. As for Ripley, I'm trying. I do try to play Ripley for her perks, but her perks aren't very good. They're mid. Buff light-footed, please. DOA5 if you know me, you know I've spent inordinate amounts of money on Pai-chan in a game that will shortly no longer be with us. Enough said. Now, before Pai's introduction, I played Lei Fang and Hitomi. I'm going to put them both in Smiling So Big and Wide, mostly because they're girlfriends who shouldn't be separated, but also I just enjoy DOA whether or not I'm using my brain, and I think Lei Fang and Hitomi encapsulate both of these modes of play for me very well. Alright, Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax Ignition. In DFCI, I really want to be good at Misaka for no other reason than that I just personally like her quite a lot in her original series, but unfortunately Misaka is a zoner with tools that I just don't love using. Especially her 214X, which more or less trips me up in combos when I try to find a place for it, so I usually just end up doing really basic wall loops and stuff. I think putting her in I'm Trying is more or less a given, but the move trips me up so much that I'm actually moving her down into a full-time job. I can win, but my brain really needs to work with me in order for that to happen. Now Tatsuya on the other hand, of course I can use my brain when I play this character, but for me personally, I don't need to. Tatsuya was actually a character that I was fairly competent at when I played this game. I made top 8 in a bracket by exclusively timing people out as Tatsuya. Tatsuya is not a pixie archetype by the way, but I still managed to do this. That's the kind of player that I've become, and I'm at least 45% proud of that. Digimon Masters is a weird one to rank because I haven't actually played a lot of the endgame content, despite the fact that I play Digimon every week on my Twitch on Mondays. We call it Digimondays. Sometimes we have guest stars. It's really fun. But from what I have played, just having Magnamon X makes me extremely happy. If you watch those streams, you know how hard I fought to unlock Magnamon. And I happen to really love tanking in that game, so he immediately goes into the Peace tier. Peak Digimon. Whenever I'm not tanking, I'm using skill-based Digimon, like Omegamon. This was the Digimon I used before I obtained Magnamon because for some reason Omegamon is actually easier to obtain than Magnamon, and he carried me for a lot of the high-level content. While Omegamon is strong, I don't feel like this is the role I was meant to play. I always feel like I'm using it wrong even when I'm doing well, and it just doesn't click with me. In other words, power flows through me, but... Now, Idrisramon. Idrisramon is a Digimon that I feel like you need to get attack speed buffs to really make work. And unfortunately, those are hard to get. And unfortunately, I didn't get them. Because unfortunately, they're hard to get. And unfortunately, I don't have them. It's super worth it to get those buffs, but I stopped using this Digimon a while ago anyway, so it was fun while it lasted. Jumba from Disney Speedstorm, which is a game I had the pleasure of playing during the Frozen season, wherein there was effectively no reason to not pick Olaf. One tricking Jumba in that game kinda worked out for me though. Kinda. Next up is Inquisitor from DNF Duel. This shit was not worth it. I don't know if I even like DNF Duel, but I played it enough to feel like I have a main, and Inquisitor was ostensibly that main. I don't know if I'll go back to DNF Duel, maybe someday. I don't know if I'll even go back to it to record footage for this video. You'll probably just see some other game or trailer footage in the background right now. Anyway, we're talking about Dong Dong Never Die, a real fucking fighting game. I play Feifei in this game. Feifei is Iori. She has a lot of KLUB 98 Ioriisms in her moveset, which is something I'll talk more in depth about later. But for now, I'm smiling so big and wide. So my team comp in Dragon Ball FighterZ is not good. I just try to play the characters I like from the main series. I could probably be playing better characters if I commit like one day out of my life to learning them, but for some reason, I don't do that. Videl makes me at peace with myself. Videl has everything I like out of a character in this game and out of 3v3 characters in general. She mixes good, she has great mix-ups. Why is that listed twice? She has a good spot dodge and several very powerful reversal options, which makes me not have to block ever. She's a character that I didn't have to convince myself to like playing. Frieza, on the other hand, is a full-time job. I could explain how I feel about Frieza, but Dustloop does it better. He truly is one of the characters of all time. Nappa is my favourite Dragon Ball character, so that's why I play him. But unfortunately, I don't get to play an oversized brute in this game. I have to formulate headaches of pictures when I'm applying pressure with this character.
You know, a headache with pictures.
An idea?
I'm trying. The Cybermen are an awesome mechanic that my brain is not wired for because unfortunately I like pushing buttons too much. Next up is Yatta from Dragon Blast. I'll actually get him and Takuto out of the way because it's a 2v2 game. Yatta is a Shoto in every sense of the word. He goes into I'm trying, not because he's difficult to play by any means, but because he's a character I feel like I'm only sort of good at. Takuto is one tier above because he's a punch guy, his rushdown pressure is insane, he can cancel normals into command normals, it's just stupid. Shadowgeist puts me at peace with myself. At worst he'd be in the hot tier, but thankfully I can play him good. He's really good at turning any situation into a pressure chance, has like a billion trillion tools and is pretty good at dealing with projectiles, which scratches all of my itches out of a character in Fexel. It helps that he has the best redesign in the whole cast as well. Pullum is the closest thing this game has to a character like a Kami function. She's got good pressure, insane mobility, especially in the air, and she makes really funny sounds when you play as her. She boings her way up to the smiling so big and wide tier. Also, she's cute. She's so fucking cute. Okay, let's talk about Fortnite. Yeah, these characters are purely cosmetic, but I don't care, it's my fucking video. I have a lot of cosmetic only characters in this list because I am a slave to the placebo effect of using a cosmetic option that I personally identify with. I genuinely play better when I'm using cosmetics I like, which makes me pray for predatory microtransactions. Renzo goes in the very top tier. This is the best original skin they've ever made. Fight me. Megalodon goes in the hot tier, which immediately makes it look significantly weirder because none of these four characters have anything in common. For Gumbo, I'm at peace with myself. This is because this looks like a design I'd make. He has like the Kaius shit-eating grin, that's like the single most important aspect of him to me. And for licensed characters we have Fry and April O'Neil. These are two of my favourite fictional characters, like ever. Half of the fun of Fortnite collabs and, well, collabs in general is having thing you like and other thing you like. In other words, I'm smiling big and wide when I play these two. Grand Blue Versus is a harder one to speak on because I haven't actually played the game since 2B came out. To be honest, that collab did nothing for me, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Cagliostro and Vasaraga. Cagliostro is my favourite Grand Blue character. Her gameplay being appealing and her ability to stall her air momentum really just helps make her even more enjoyable for me. I love her pokes, I love her teleports, I love her setups. She has me smiling so big and wide. And as for Vasaraga, let's just get this one out of the way. I'm sure nobody saw that one coming. Guilty Gear Strive was in a weird position because when I was making this video, Johnny was bad, and while I was making this video, Johnny suddenly wasn't bad anymore. I was going to put him in I'm Trying, and for the sake of posterity, I think I will anyway, but they did the craziest thing after Evo. They hit the lines of code that weren't finished and clicked publish. So they made him an actual character with moves that work. They finished the Johnny DLC a year after it came out. I would have almost gone as far as to say, oh, Johnny was the second or third worst character in the entire game. He was suffering for Xrd crimes and he couldn't do anything about it being a federal fucking issue. Mistfinder has counter hit properties now, and I sleep better at night because of it. And Melia was fun while it lasted. She was the only character for 2 seasons where I felt like I could play her without having a huge character crisis. I did dabble in Chaos for a while, but not really for long enough to consider putting him here. I don't know. I'm not sure if Melia necessarily had huge issues at launch, but I definitely felt like I was playing at a lower capacity than the rest of the cast most of the time. But to be fair, this game was DPRRC Simulator until like literally 2 weeks ago. Answer is the most fun Guilty Gear character I have ever played in my entire life, and I've been playing since Reload. The scrolls add so much to his kit for self-expression and flexibility. He had better mobility than most characters. He was just perfect for me besides the whole being pretty bad thing. Sometimes I wish this could have been the game I made Johnny in, but I like the way things turned out for me because I like Answer. RoboKai is weird. You're not playing plus R when you play this character. You're playing plus R actually, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it. His meter gain and dependence are so fundamentally different from other characters, and RoboKai breaks the general sense of consistency that characters have in plus R by having the meter mechanics be the way they are. It's really difficult to manage the same combo twice in one match, which makes RoboKai almost feel like I'm playing a roguelike in a fighting game, which says a lot because I've literally played characters from roguelikes and fighting games. Okay, Heroes of the Storm. I have very little recollection of playing this game, but here's my very quick impression of how I generally remember feeling when I played these three. And now it's time to talk about KOF for the next however long amount of time. Oto-UM Hinako. Hinako in Unlimited Match is kind of insane. As soon as you get in, you more or less just win with this character. Power flows through me, but if you've watched your fair share of clips from when rollback dropped for this game, you may or may not have seen several clips of Hinako touching someone once and killing them. Yeah. Opening Angel's section with a hot take, this character is not that hard. Unchained Circle is not that hard to understand. You fuckers will ask for them to bring back the blisteringly hard combo trials in KLUB 13 and then say a character of the most slightly differential imagine a burger ass combo theory is the hardest fighting game design of all time. Spend 5 minutes in Virtua Fighter 5 and tell me you still think Angel is hard. I put her in smelling so big and wide, by the way. I'm smiling despite it all. And now, Chris. Chris is my fallback character in every KOF game he's in for some reason. But generally speaking, I don't actually like having overlap in my KOF mains between games. I don't have a lot to say compared to the previous two. He's strong, intuitive, simple, and he has all that mobility and mix-up stuff that I like. He also has one of the most infamously difficult to challenge buttons in KOF, so that's fun. Power flows through me, but I wish I could just commit to playing Yuri in this game. 98 Mary. I have fun when I play this character. I have so much fun with this character that I had to make a separate tier called Yay I Having Fun, which I did end up moving certain characters from the smelling tier to. Mary is one of the most unremarkable characters in KLUB 98, but I still play her. Conversely, Chin is very remarkable. He is remarkably bad. If you like pressing 2C, then you'll probably enjoy playing Chin. He also has an instant overhead. Don't let the amount of people telling you this character is pure abysmal dog shit to deter you from playing him. He is fun, just so long as you ignore the fact that I put him in full-time job. Sometimes people like clocking in an honest 9 to 5. Iori is one of the best characters in KLUB 98. There's no need to tell you what he can do, because he can do everything. But I'll do it anyway. He has awesome damage, can stun you in 2 combos, a great attack throw game, a great high-low game, arguably the best. Okay, you've read the Super Combo wiki page, I need new material. Stop using sweep? Fuck! Tackle, you guys still find tackle funny? No? God damn it! Well, whatever, I'm having fun. Okay, now let's talk about Tizok from 11. This is a character who will always cast a wide shadow over me when I try to beat the furry allegations. In any case, he would go in the hot tier, but I respect my gameplay enough of him to at least put him in the fun tier. The thing with Tizok is that he's one of the few grapplers in a fighting game who actually makes sense to me and coalesces into a full kit that I enjoy using. Shingo is one of the best KLUB characters ever made. His 11 version is my favourite, so that's the one I used here. Smiling so big and wide, I like my fighting game characters to feel haptic, so to speak, and Shingo is just an excellent character to hit buttons with in terms of overall game feel. And I like having fun with Duck King while I'm at it. Duck King was a more recent pick for me in King of Fighters 11. Recording footage for my YouTube short last year actually made me appreciate the character a lot more, and if you'd like me to talk more about King of Fighters 11 Duck King, you can go watch that short. Yay, I love plugging! Okay, Isla is my actual favourite KLUB character, not just in terms of her design, which is positively oozing with style and charisma, and her story, which controversially I actually thought was quote unquote pretty decent. But I like her gameplay too. You already know it, she has everything I like in a character. Good mobility, good pokes, variable offense resulting in mix-ups, vortex, etc. There's no question about her placement here. We're putting her all the way at the top where she deserves to be. Kukri is maybe the quintessential power flows for me butt character. I cannot stress enough that this character was not a KLUB character I really expected or wanted to like, but unfortunately this character did something that very few characters on this list have done. He won me money. I was very, very, very good at Kukri. I won tournaments with this guy, and I'm not talking about net play stuff. I physically went to an arcade and won physical rewards. I'm not talking about the full team comp or anything genuine like that. I got fucking carried by this character. I would frequently reverse 3-0 each round because I put Kukri as my anchor, and I still can't wash the sand off the dirty money I won playing this degenerate fucking character. Dinosaur is an I'm trying. I definitely wasn't very good at him. He's just not the same as T-Zoc. He's a character who feels fundamentally worse in every way and purely exists for story reasons that haven't been relevant in nearly a decade because SNK already forgot who the fuck Nelson is. Thank fucking god they took Dinosaur to the back of a shed and hit him with an asteroid. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Maybe we could get regular T-Zoc back in KLUB 16 too, but I'm not holding my breath. Latch, it was fun while it lasted. The reason he's here is because they released a second Lethal League game that I still haven't bought, and I'm stuck on the first game after all my friends started playing the second one. Lethal League in itself was truly fun while it lasted. This is the part where you shed a single tear, and while you're doing that, I'm going to put all 3 League of Legends champs in the hot tier because I have to be completely honest, the entire reason I pick up League of Legends champs is because I like their physical characteristics. There's really nothing else to it. Now Toadette is my favourite Mario character, so I play her in every spin-off she's in, which is something that's become concerningly infrequent over the past couple of years for whatever reason. Yay, I'm having fun. There's only one other instance where I ended up not playing her in a game she was in, and it's because they added Kamek. I was smelling so big and wide when they added him after the absolute fucking robbery he experienced back when Donkey Kong replaced his spot in Mario Kart 64. And in a vastly stupider decision of things to add to a tier list in 2024, we have the 2025 game Marvel Rivals. We're talking about Venom and Jeff, and for Venom, I'm going to avoid talking about his posterior as much as possible. Alright, Venom goes into power flows for me, but he's a selfish ass tank. He dives in, he pops his right click, he bum rushes all the squishies and gets a few cheeky picks and hightails it out of there. But I feel like that's it. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I'm being a complete fanny and I should be pushing behind my team, but it's not like it matters since it's a closed beta test and no one locks in good roles anyway. Everyone's figuring this game out, so I guess we'll get to the bottom of it eventually. Derriere. Jeff the Land Shark goes in at this moment I'm at peace with myself. Whenever I play Jeff, I genuinely feel like I'm a parent who's at ease with their entire life, and the way everyone on my team will just come and look at Jeff and talk about how wonderful he is and what a special boy he is. And I feel like I'm pushing my baby stroller for town and people on the street come and look at my magnificent little boy and tell me he's so wonderful and he's going to change the world when he's an adult, and also that I'm great and an extremely attractive parent. MVC2 Dalsum is an extremely difficult character to play optimally, but he is so fast and slippery and has huge big fuck off buttons that I genuinely feel like I'm cheating when I play this character. If you've never seen Dalsum play in Marvel 2 before, do yourself a favour and watch some high level Dalsum play. The amount of shit this character can get away with is genuinely fascinating, and he's not even a top tier. I'm not good at him, but I really enjoy him regardless. Thanos and his objective best design of all time is a character I use more for assist purposes, but also so I can look at his objective best design of all time. He has big buttons just like Dalsum, so you can see there's a pattern here. Marvel characters with big ass buttons are so addictive. Granted, he does come with all the downsides of a big body and very few of the upsides, so I usually find that I'm trying when I play as him. And Storm goes in the power tier. I don't feel the need to justify this pick. I think this is where she'd go for really anybody. I love Storm as a character, easily one of my favourite characters from the Marvel universe, but that doesn't change the fact that when you're playing as Storm, you can really tell you're playing a top tier. Aki has safe coup? I having fun. Remember that thing I said about the haptic feel of characters and how characters have a nice snap to their buttons? Well, Melty Blood Actress again is a game that's entirely that. Now multiply that by 12 and that's Seaman Safeku. I find that when a character still makes me feel like I'm in control of the game flow, even when I'm getting diffed by someone who has been playing this game since like 2009 or whatever, I enjoy them more, and that's how Akiha makes me feel. You'd think I would play her in Type Lumina 2 since she feels mostly the same in that game, barring all the system changes that make her not feel the same at all. So I play Mario instead. Like I said earlier, I rarely click with puppet characters, so they have to lean more into hybrid stance switching for me to really give a shit. But thankfully Mario doesn't need this, since he's not actually a puppet character, he's a puppeteer, which is a really important distinction that means absolutely nothing. Power flows through me, but because while I feel strong with this character, it's hard to not get a little frustrated when characters with really oppressive space control like MASH and Powered CL are ubiquitous throughout this game. Playing technical characters in Type Lumina sometimes feels like you're playing chess and your opponent is a dog who keeps eating your pieces. Okay, Ashura, it was fun while it lasted. I don't fuck with M1K that much anymore, even if I did play it and enjoy it at launch. As the game went on, it just kinda fell off for me. In that time though, Ashura was fun. I think assists definitely have a place in MK, even if I don't like how they were implemented and treated post-launch. Ashura in particular was a character who I felt I was really in control with when I played her, which is always really important, especially in a game like MK where mix-ups are a little less familiar to me. I have a complex relationship with multiverses, but I'm smiling so big and wide when I play Morty. They nerfed the fuck out of his grenades, but he still feels good to play. In a game that's slowed down tremendously since open beta, a lot of characters' overall feel was hit hard, and I mean fucking hard, dude. And I feel that Morty isn't one of those characters. His gameplay mechanics actually feel like they're a lot more manageable when everyone else is moving through molasses. The same cannot be said for Bugs Bunny though, who I know is still good, but they just completely fucked him up in terms of nerfs to me. They changed so much of the stuff that I like about him that he's completely unplayable to me now. He just feels so wrong. Alright, confession time. I play Overwatch. Venture is my DPS main. I like running in and hitting things. They're stupid and they have pronouns, which means they're just like me. They're the closest to a melee DPS, which makes them feel very feast or famine, but when I'm doing good as Venture, I feel like I'm on top of the world. Ramatro's going in above Venture. I don't know how to describe Ramatro's gameplay and overall feel with big words, so I'll just say that when I'm playing this character, I get a bout of main character syndrome. For the duration of the match, I'm the protagonist. I go in, I protect my friends, I help us advance forward, and most importantly, I punch the shit out of annoying fucking barrier tanks. His design is also insanely good, which helps when I play as him because I know that my feeling of self-importance isn't just a character flaw, but a very, very sexy one. As for Roadhog, just hear me out. Yeah, he's an incredibly basic hear me out, but he's my incredibly basic hear me out. I also forced myself to be good at this hero, and I warmed up to his reworks after forcing myself to accept them, so I'm in a hell of my own design, essentially. Okay, Marie's a full-time job. 2.0 Marie sucks balls, she's not very good, she has to work for her game plan, she's an honest character in a game of top tiers that can win the round in 2 interactions, it's just not a great time. Now, Ken on the other hand, Ken is power flows through me but isn't it so fun to have one character with really good pokes, pressure, and completely ignoring the game systems with their moveset? Okay, now what if you had 2? Now you have Ken. PMEX Remix. Black Knight goes into the hot tier. It's Black Knight. I'm kind of known for liking this character. I don't think much else needs to be said. Now Falco, this is my least favorite Falco on this list. He's almost perfect, but I really don't like that his reflector kick was replaced with the old shine. I don't really like when melee praxis invades Falco's moveset in later games, especially for mods, and even then there are plenty of Smash fan games that have made the old shine and the reflector kick work together. I don't know, I just don't like shine. I'm aware it's a strong move, that's why he goes in power flows through me, but Eldegoss is Eldergod. There's nothing I love more than supports in MOBAs who are absolutely fucking cracked. I was actually surprised that their sustain and utility are still really good all these years later, but I'm also acutely aware that other support Pokemon that have come out can do some of their stuff but better. Either way, playing support in low elo is still playing support in low elo, it's a full-time job. Next up we have a double whammy of puzzle games. We're starting with Seaman from Puchikara. She's a solid defensive character in Puchikara. Her attack pattern fills up 7 of the 9 rows, which is a really good way to fill out a screen. Unlike Garnet, hers is wider at the centre, which might actually make it technically stronger, especially since she usually fills out the middle and one side column first, making it a deceptively good offensive option too. She's a good all-rounder who ensures I can focus on my own screen. Having fun. As for Sig, I don't really know enough about PPT2's gameplay to really know if my character choice is making that much of a difference, but I don't think I care either way. He's a nice little guy and I like him. He shares a spot with Seaman because I've determined that they're friends. Raster! I don't play Workshop, I'm boring and I don't believe in that made up nonsense. Raster is like a mishmash of all of the things I liked from other platform fighter characters at the time the game entered early access. Marf Up special, good mobility, tipper mechanics, bird. He's part of our ever-expanding fund here. It's time to talk about the Rumblefish 2, which means it's time for you to go play the Rumblefish 2. Go on, do it. Play it while you watch this video. Cheryl joins the fun tier. She's got a gameplay style that's not very orthodox for me, but one I really ended up liking more than I thought I would. She's one of those characters who feels immensely satisfying to get even the smallest of confirms with, and I'm not sure if that's because I'm enjoying playing her or if that's just because the Rumblefish 2 is just that fucking good, but please go play this game, I'm having fun either way. Joining this tier yet again is Nakaruru, from Sam Show this time. She's not quite as fun as her CVS2 version, but Nakaruru is still my go-to character in like most games she appears in. Samsho 7 is a lot slower than your average Samsho game, but Nakaruru's hit and run playstyle and her moveset still feel impressively good to use. Nakaruru is one of those characters who consistently feels made for me across all of her appearances. Kuilan from Senko no Ronde 2. Senko no Ronde 2 is a bullet hell fighting game, which makes me realise I probably should have put Toho 12.3 in this list. Oh well! I mostly use Kuilan as a character solely because I think his design is neat. I'm not very good at this game. I'm trying though. Skullgirls is the video game of all time. Fukuwa is the character I mained for years, once even solo maining, just because I really liked the fact that she had a colour palette based on Falco Lombardi. I am that simple. In any case, Fukuwa's fun and I'm glad I stuck with her. She's easy to fit into any team, but I struggle a lot using her at her full potential, so I'm trying. Annie's got a balanced kit, so she suits my needs as someone who is chronically bad at this game. I usually like a lot of mix-ups and stuff, but just having a fairly linear character isn't so bad sometimes. Straight up, I'm at peace with myself with Umbrella. I don't even owe you guys an explanation of how it feels to play her because I was going to main her anyway. I've been asking for this character to be playable literally ever since she was introduced as a character in Skullgirls. I lost several years of my life to not having this character being playable. Just having her here is enough for me. 10 out of 10. We're not doing number ratings in this video, but 10 out of 10. Sonic the Fighters has been making a bit of a resurgence lately, and I'm no exception to the whirlpool of this game. I mean Fang, always have, always will. Zoning in a 3D fighting game where it's somehow genuinely acceptable to be a zoner is so inherently liberating. You have access to fun tools that play with 3D space, but you aren't actively damaging the integrity of the game by creating horrendously annoying lose-lose situations for your opponent. I like it, I like him. Astaroth is always going to be my main in Soul Calibur. Again, with 3D fighting games, there's something about them that makes me stop feeling so inhibited when it comes to playing grapplers, and Astaroth is the bread and butter of that mindset. Also, there's this tweet, so it's safe to say that I enjoy Astaroth. I don't really like that Soul Calibur 6 had rock, paper, scissors reversal bullshit mechanics in it, but you know, at least Astaroth could instantly win the round with it. And speaking of instantly winning the round, World Warrior Go! If you've never had the pleasure of playing World Warrior, here's the rundown of Gale. The detailed guide. Step 1. Land a single jab. Step 2. You won the round, there is no step 2. He's going in power flows through me butt, and the butt is there mostly because there's a 50% chance that my opponent will also pick Guile and I don't get to play him because Street Fighter 2 World Warrior had no mirror matches. Yeah, 2 broken Street Fighter characters in a row. Throw all your apple cores and cans at me, I am not immune to Canadian. Yunin Third Strike is the best or second best character in the entire game for a reason. This move lets you basically ignore all the rules of the game. You can pop it whenever you want and you still get value out of it, unless the uses is literally when you're about to be hit or something. What is there to be said that hasn't already been said about this character? Everybody plays Third Strike now, it's not novel. See Viper, as much as I'd like to say this character is worth the grinding curve, she wasn't. She was not fucking worth the learning process. I'll still play her when I play Street Fighter 4, but I do not recommend her to anybody. I'm just handcuffed to this character for the rest of my life as punishment for my dommy mommy induced hubris. I'm putting Street Fighter 5 Cammy in It Was Fun While It Lasted. She used to have silly throw loops, and as soon as they removed them, she became less fun. Unfortunately, tech throwing is actually really enjoyable, and forcing your opponent into unhealthy 50-50s was actually a greatly entertaining experience. Who would have thought? I don't regret it one bit though, I'll do it again. I'm sorry for the people who are currently judging my Street Fighter main choices, but now it's time to talk about DJ. In Street Fighter 6 he feels like the first Street Fighter character that's like inherently chaos coded in terms of playstyle. He's got the mobility, the mix, and it all flows into a way that comes very naturally to me. I'm obsessed with his feints, and yeah, I will drive rush across the screen and do a crouching medium kick. Also, you can combo from his super art too, and it's not practical or good, but you can technically really impress your opponents when you do it. If they're not literally strangling you for picking DJ, that is. Either way, yay, I'm having fun. Now, despite all this, I actually like Ed more. Ironically, making Ed slightly more complex than before actually made him click better for me. I really tried to make Ed work, and the craziest part is that I actually managed it. And that's something I think we can all learn from. Sometimes we can sit down and actually learn a character, instead of just sitting around waiting for things to work themselves out. There is not a character of hit confirms more fun than Ed's. I am so serious, and I will continue to be so serious until at least the release of Terry Bogard. Sheik. I should have just played Falco. Spinning around the little wire does not make my hipster ass character choice worth it. Now let's talk about Falco for the second and third times in this video. Brawl and Ultimate. 4 is not on this tier list because it's dog shit. Cope. Brawlco goes in smelling so big and wide. Why? Because he has an infinite. Ultimate Falco puts me at peace with myself. Ultimate Falco is the best he's ever felt. Is it his strongest? Far from it, but it's the most enjoyable he's felt, which is kind of a big achievement considering Smash Ultimate's character design style doesn't ordinarily jive with me whatsoever, and standardized character interactions just feel very finicky. But Falco felt very consistent throughout the game's supported lifespan. Despite that, there are 2 more characters from Ultimate who are both getting put high up. Sonic. Yes, Sonic. Another great way to enjoy the moment-to-moment gameplay in Ultimate is to play a character whose movement completely dictates it or doesn't really engage with it at all. The truth of any fighting game is that when I have the health lead or the stock lead, I am never, ever at any obligation to engage with you ever. And Sonic is a great encapsulation of that mindset, because when I watch other Sonic players in Ultimate, they get it. Terry's in smiling so big and wide. He's a character I wanted in Smash Ultimate, and I got him in Smash Ultimate. Truly, it is no deeper than that. The fact that he's fun to play helps immensely though. Old Fei Long is technically marginally worse than ST Fei Long, but I actually kinda don't give a shit, I'm smiling. What he lacks in Chicken Wing and Super, he makes up for with being able to confirm almost fucking everything he does into his Rekka. He is incredibly fucking fast, not necessarily because of his grounded speed, but because he just gets in and deals a fuck ton of damage off of basically any confirm, because his combo and mix-up potential is so freeform compared to everybody else's. I'm going to talk about Michelle Chang and Julia Chang together because they're very similar characters. The Changs are the characters I've mained since the very beginning. Tekken 2 feels very different to all the Tekken games that came after it, but it doesn't make a huge difference to me, so I think that I'll just count them both together as well. The Changs are far and away my favourite characters in the Tekken series to play, and I kinda hate that they've been relegated to the occasional DLC character despite having had a more or less perfect attendance record prior. But hey, our 5th Mishima's so hype, right? Fuck Tekken 8. I mean, oh fuck yes Tekken 8! Let's talk about the characters I'm forced to play while I wait to be charged $5 for my main again! King is a character who always consistently feels strong in Tekken games. Much like Astaroth, he kind of falls into the area of 3D fighting game grapplers are more fun than 2D ones. But I actually think King feels a bit better than Astaroth, because unlike Astaroth, he feels like a powerful character no matter how much of him you've actually learned. As I described earlier, he's one of those characters who has a nice haptic feel to him. And Leo is Yaya having fun. Because as much as I would like to fully understand Leo, sometimes I feel like I just don't. Leo's a character that I really have to lock in with to feel like I'm playing well, but in general Leo's just a character I like to play when I don't feel like playing my mains. Next up we have Sisters from a certain magical index. Sisters is a zoner, which in an arena fighter I always find more important than having good melee capability, because very few interactions actually come to close quarters in those games unless both players mutually make it come to that. Plus, having good ranged attacks in an arena fighter makes you feel so insanely controlled and cracked at the game. In any case, I'm having fun. UMK3 Human Smoke is also a fun pick. I'm not a huge flex player in UMK3, I just play Human Smoke. I play him in UMK3 Plus as well, and I play him in the MK Mugans. There's just a novelty about playing as a character who's strictly just Scorpion but better. While I'm here, did you know that UMK3 isn't overrated and is actually objectively the best Mortal Kombat game? In this video essay I shall— Okay, let's talk about UMVC3. Just in case you thought my picks couldn't get any more unbelievably frustrating, here's Phoenix. Phoenix goes into Power Flows for me, but not because of any reason on my end, but because I feel like people actually genuinely hate me when I play as this character. And they're more or less correct to do so. They're two going, I'm trying. To be honest with you, I'm not good at this game. I'm one of the worst, most dog water UMVC3 players who has ever lived. I'm pretty much carried by my gimmick, but that's okay. Besides, it's easy to be a one-trick pony when you do a trick and every time the judges score you with straight 10s. Nanase. Nanase might actually be the main event of this entire video. She goes all the way to the top. I almost made a tier just for her at the very top. Nanase is a character who completely changed the way I interact with fighting games and footsies in general. There are very few characters whose gameplay gets me to feel the way Nanase's does. She's the best fighting game character ever made and the best fighting game ever made. She feels so haptic, she's got good mobility, good mix-ups, good footsies, she's absolutely perfect. If I could pick one character to replace every fighting game character ever, it would be Nanase. Next we have Zabel from VSAV. Full-time job, because I'm not actually good at Zabel. Zabel is a very technical character that I should not have picked up, but I'm here for the long haul now. He has the best visual design, so it's a commitment that I'm willing to make. Maybe I'll stream my Zabel journey one day. Who knows? Next up is Pai-chan, the actual VF version of Pai-chan. She's smiling so big and wide. She's a 3D fighting game character, which of course means she just feels better and better as the games go on because her legacy kit is expanded upon and not reiterated upon. No need to fix what isn't broke. I've played Pai in every VF game I've played, which is most of them except for 4. After how long I've been playing her, there is no way I can play any other character in those games. And the last two characters are Koleida and Billy from Zenless Zone Zero. Koleida is the most fun character in ZZZ for me, and it's not even close. I use Ben as a backup for her and it makes her moves feel so much smoother. I appreciate that Koleida doesn't feel too linear or too complex, which is a tightrope to walk in a fairly mashy RPG style game like this, but it's something they managed. Also, her visual design is great, her hits are big and impactful, and she just feels all around satisfying to play. And lastly, we have Billy, who very much unceremoniously just goes into the to be honest I just put in because they're hot tier. And there we have it, 128 characters from my history, ranked, recorded, video essayed, whatever. I've been gone for so long, I forgot how long it takes to make things like this. In any case, this was a really interesting experience for me. Like a very unorthodox walk down memory lane. And because of how enjoyable it was, I actually think I'm curious to see how other people do with their own. So with that said, I'm going to be very 2015 right now and tag other creators to do their own tier lists like this. With that said, I tag Babe Ruthless, Melpy, and Lumber Jackson. They're free to do their own tier lists as a video or stream, or, you know, they don't even have to do it at all. I'm just curious. Hell, you, the viewer, have the power to join in on this. Let's all make this a meme or something. Alright, well, I'm losing my voice now, I think. Have I done everything on the itinerary? I think so. I think I already thanked my patrons earlier, so I won't have to record that later. Glad I thought ahead. Thank you for bearing with me over the past several months. I promise content's going to be at least semi-consistent going forward. But until then, I'm out. Bye!